right, well, welcome back to the Crossroads Commercial Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Bailey Wheeler, and I have Miss Jenna Tibbs now. We're back. It's almost February 2026, but we're closing out January, so we really are excited to roll out this year's podcast, talking about more specific topics. Sometimes we'll have some hosts. Things have changed a lot in the commercial real estate world, and we are here to kind of educate and make this more of a casual conversation. So thanks for joining and helping out.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think we have a good vision for this year and kind of what we want to educate people on, and just keep it really casual so you guys can kind of get to know us better and go from there.
Yeah, I feel like Jenna's office is right across from mine, but we've already started the ground running for 2026. So I'm excited to be able to just sit down and focus and talk a little bit about some things that we've done previously, kind of what the market's asking for right now in Cheyenne, and just what's going on in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah. And I think with the new year starting and everybody setting their goals and things, you were mentioning that you had a word that you wanted to share.
So I, everybody from TikTok to Instagram to a podcast, that's like everybody's thing right now. They're talking about reflection on 2025. A lot of people like to do that before the year, but it's still going into January. So a big thing that I started a couple years ago is just a word of the year. Some people do it, some people don't. I found that it just kind of helps me come back and reflect every few months on that word. And it usually ties in something personal or something goal-oriented for business, and it served me pretty well. Last year, my word was serve. And if you've ever done anything in real estate at all, you know it can get really busy really quick. And so I was trying to create a life balance that allowed me to serve, but served me as well. So it kind of had a dual meaning. And I think I really got to the core of that word. And I accomplished some really good personal goals as well as some professional goals. And then also some family goals, which was great. So that serve word worked well for me. So I have one for 2026. I've tried to run from it 3 times because it's a really odd word, but it's desperate.
Interesting.
And, it doesn't mean what you think it does, but I am desperately in the pursuit of greatness. And I just can't get away from that word for some reason. I'm desperate for better relationships with my friends, with my family, desperate for a really good schedule, desperate to be great. I'm just really on the hunt for this. And so it just keeps finding me. So that's my word.
I love that. I didn't know where you were going to go with that at first, but I feel like it just means that you feel very passionate about those specific things, and you'll do whatever it takes to like achieve them.
Yeah. So. It's a word again that found me. I did not find it.
So, I love you're really running away from it.
Yeah. It was kind of like, why would I want to use that word? Because it sounds so negative. But I think if you can find the meaning behind what the word means to you, it makes a little bit of difference. So hopefully by the end, maybe
I know
you'll have
I didn't prepare. I didn't know. I'm going to come up with a word next episode. I'll start with my word. Perfect. But I normally take January, which is an unpopular opinion, to almost like reset my life and just make sure everything's kind of organized within like my brain, my home, my relationships, so that I can start the year fresh and be the best version of myself. And so normally I kind of, February rolls around, I have my birthday, and then I get serious about planning my goals. So I'm a little bit behind, but it just works good for me to kind of reset my life and then have a clear path to what I want to accomplish. Obviously, I have ideas of what I want to accomplish, but yeah, the word will be here next time.
Awesome. Well, kind of off work topic, you did set a goal already this year that you've accomplished, which is a big goal.
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah,
I finally planned my honeymoon. I got married in June of 2025, and my husband is not a big traveler. He is the best person on the planet, but that is one thing that we don't align on. So it was definitely difficult to convince him, but I'm so glad that he's down. So we're going to go to Greece. It's booked, and I'm really excited for that.
Awesome. So, I'm super excited for you.
It's definitely been one of my bucket list things, and
cool.
Great. I totally forgot.
Well, good. Congrats. I'm excited for you. I think this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about businesses in Cheyenne and kind of what we've seen come into Cheyenne as far as new businesses, why these businesses and not some other businesses, and just kind of touch base on that in Cheyenne in general. We've been working with a lot of new clients coming out of town for construction sites or moving here for a job, just because we have a lot of opportunity going on in Cheyenne.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing that we're, kind of lacking versus other bigger cities is those amenities, which is food, restaurants,
workout classes,
gyms, workout classes. And, you're from Oregon, bigger cities, and so you're used to seeing some of that. And yeah, we just don't have a lot of that here.
Yeah. And I think that's always been, since it's been a question of mine now that I've been here for over a year, I know other people have that question too. Like, first of all, I'm always curious about what new businesses are coming to Cheyenne, why they're coming to Cheyenne. And it is very bizarre to me that you don't have tons of options, like even just with workout classes. Like we have CrossFit, which is great. We have a couple gyms. We don't have a ton of options when it comes to restaurants that are like more unique. Similar, like Fort Collins has I think they have second to Las Vegas. Somebody was telling me, and this could be totally wrong, so don't quote me on this. Most restaurants per capita in Fort Collins.
Jeez.
So it's such a polar difference, 45 minutes away. So with you being here for over 10 years, I'd love to kind of know your opinion, I guess, on like why that is and what you see happening now that we have seen the movement that you were just talking about briefly.
Yeah, a lot of, things that are here have been here since I was a kid. Some of those things have started to transition out. So, they've been in long-term leases. Now being on the real estate side, I can see why some of that's happened. Some of those leases were probably locked in a really long time. The mall used to be a really big thing. The mall is definitely, malls in general all over America are being completely restructured. And so they're being thought of as experiences rather than just retail and shopping. A lot of the big box stores have gone away. So you've got Macy's, Dillard's, Sears, things like that completely exited the market. And so I think there's larger retail spaces that have tried to redevelop those areas into something that will bring more people in. For example, club sports. When you go to play club sports here, we have a real gym shortage, but we'll go to Fort Collins and Colorado a lot, and those malls, like the Aurora Mall in Colorado is one in specific. They took a big Dillard's or a Sears, and it was a 2-story mall, and they remodeled it, and then that store actually became a gym. And so you can walk into that gym, compete, and then you can walk straight into the mall. And so the amenities are there. You've got all these people on a weekend, and so the foot traffic just continues. And so they're getting more creative with the spaces.
Yeah.
Fort Collins, especially, when I first started, I listened to a seminar about interior shopping malls are becoming a thing of the past. And now you'll see everything become outside walking. So you'll go park, and then you can walk to all of the shopping retail centers and get a Trader Joe's, go to a workout class, grab something to eat, and then go shop at Lululemon.
Yeah.
Like
convenience is key.
And there's a certain there's a guy on Twitter, and I think he's called the Strip Mall Guy.
Yeah.
He talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
And it is tenant awareness in a strip center or whatever you're building. Having a vision and being very picky and choosy about what goes in that because you're trying to attract a certain demographic or based on the area, this is what this area needs, the amenities. And so it can become really competitive. That has happened here now that these spaces are turning over. Especially we have a couple places that I would consider like retail row. Yellowstone has been one of them on the north end. Then you have Del Range. And Del Range kind of is the old, that's where everything was. The mall was there, most of your fast foods, Verizon's, anything that you could need or want was really on that strip. And space was limited. And it still really is limited. We've had some turnover. Big Lots, no, excuse me, not Big Lots. Gosh, I'm not going to remember where this is, but kind of where Hobby Lobby is. There's a large I think Burlington Coat Factory was supposed to be
Yes.
coming a long time ago. That has sat vacant, and it's just too large for small retail. But our strip centers have become such, it's a really tight market because that's what everybody wants. They want a 1,200 to 2,000 square foot space, and they want it with high traffic counts in these retail areas, and they're willing to pay top dollar for what that is. And so our spaces here notoriously have been, I want to say, Class B.
Yeah.
None of them have been completely Class A. And Class A has changed over the last 5 years. What used to be really cool and the hip vibe thing is now different. You know, we're seeing a lot of black windows, glass, just more modern feel, and that changes as time changes.
Yeah.
And the architecture changes in design. But our spaces need to get converted to that. And so there's a lot of factors that go into that. Our Sprouts that just came, which is super
The talk
exciting.
of the town this past year.
Yeah. I mean, it opened, and I can tell you on the north end, I shop there all the time. They deliver.
Yeah, the
which
delivery is a game changer.
Huge convenience. But they don't have everything.
Yeah.
So we've still got Natural Grocers, we've got Albertsons, we've got King Supers. We're pretty spread out. So I think a lot of people on this side of town, unless they're doing like delivery through King Supers, probably shop
Albertsons and Sprouts.
Albertsons,
and Natural
Sprouts,
Grocers.
or Natural Grocers. And I mean that I'm just speaking for us in general, but I'm using that as an example because we helped AAA come here this year. And that space was a party. I want to say it was like Party America. And so there's Bed Bath & Beyond. No.
Next to it?
Kohl's.
Kohl's.
Sorry.
Yep.
I'm thinking of, there used to be a Bed Bath & Beyond in that center. It's Kohl's, and then there's a tiny little, about 2,000 square foot space that used to be Party America. Then they put in Sprouts, and now Michael's is on the end.
Yep.
And that space in the middle was marketed, you know, double what retail space was. And that landlord just knew he wanted a good qualified tenant because he had invested his time in finding Sprouts and getting Sprouts here. So it was really important to him, and he got it. And he got a really qualified tenant who spent a good chunk of change to remodel the space to a Class A space because they saw the value in the traffic count that was coming. And so it really goes to show you if you sometimes it'll cost you some money up front, but I think that's what you know, what we're lacking here is the strip mall centers are still owned by either a REIT company or an older owner, and waiting for those right tenants can be can cost you a little bit of money up front because you might sit vacant for a little while. But it's worth it in the end because you're cultivating a culture in that center that hopefully they'll just feed off of each other. Yeah.
And that goes back to kind of what you said a little bit ago. The owner of the Sprouts, Michael's AAA and Kohl's little strip there, like he had a vision and he knew what he wanted to be there, like, and he was willing to wait, and that paid off. Yeah, it's been interesting to see just what's changed over the past year. I feel like so many more, and maybe I'm wrong, so I'd love your opinion on this, like so many more businesses have been coming here. And I guess I kind of want to know why you think that is. I know we had Chiba Hut that we helped secure a spot for. You just mentioned AAA. The golf simulators are starting to become a thing here now. We helped somebody get a space for that on Del Range. So I guess I just kind of want to pick your brain on why you think that is, if it's more people that have come to Cheyenne in this past year than you've experienced while you've been in real estate. Yeah.
I think a lot of it is pricing too. So you're going to see specific tenants look for specific needs. So I'm going to use like banks as an example. When they look at an area, if they've entered into a market, our area kind of is split into 3 spots. And I talked about these main drags, and they hit those based off of demographic and traffic counts. Those are changing as our city grows, but it's been pretty steady at that. There's a north location desire, an east location desire, and a southern location desire. And that's just kind of our city in general.
Yeah.
And so a lot of banks will position a first location on the north end or the east end. And then when they go into the market again, because they've seen such a good response, they'll go for that other location.
Yeah.
And so that's been like the corporate is from what I can tell. Franchises are coming in more because they're able to pay more because they have a franchise backer. you know, we have a really big opportunity here in Cheyenne, but I think there's a little bit of a learning curve for people who have never seen what that really looks like.
Yeah.
We're no longer cheap. We never really were cheap. But these spaces don't reflect what people think they should.
Yeah.
So if you're a franchise and you want to open up in Fort Collins, you're going to find a downtown space and it's going to look completely different than a Cheyenne downtown space. Some of them are starting to remodel and turn over. And I think it really goes into a good negotiation. So you're going to pay top dollar for these really in line, right on the main drag markets, and you should be ready for that. Landlords are probably not going to participate in any tenant improvements. If they do, they're going to charge them back to you over the course of your lease. And so I think there's a misconception about just because it's on the main drag doesn't mean that it's like ready, you know? Office space is the same way. And it's changed as COVID has happened. You know, AAA was already in the market. A long time ago. They were next to Cold Stone over on the east end. They left because COVID happened. They went to a remote kind of online system, and then it started to settle down, and they realized that they needed to enter back in and get a space. And so they were able to kind of take the time, step back, figure out what they wanted, and they really knew they wanted to be somewhere where there was a lot of traffic. And so they got a better space out of it. But they paid way more than they probably did 5 years ago.
Do you think there's an investment in that, though? Like, do you think that businesses that are willing to invest now, it's going to pay off in 10 years? Like, or whatever it may be?
I think your local people are struggling to open a new business just because these prices to enter into the market are hard. And everybody has this big goal of wanting to own because that's the ultimate goal, right? You don't want to lease from somebody. You don't want to pay $1 million into a space that you don't even own. But that's the reality, that it's expensive. Our interest rates aren't wonderful for anything, and I don't know that that'll completely change in the next couple years. And, you know, these spaces need some work, or maybe it doesn't even work. You know, you got to level it. Retail gets really specific. You know, the IHOP went out of business. That was like the new one that really went out of business, and it was a feeding frenzy for that space. And it's not even, it's a situation, I think that one was like a ground lease. So you could tear down the building, you could use the building as is, but most of the time, like the Sherry's went out of business. Those buildings were built specifically for that business. And so for another business to come in, it's almost like, do we just start new and find something that we can build ground up?
That's custom for them.
So I think people are really, from a business standpoint, are taking a hard look at Cheyenne, but it's costly. The opportunity's here because the people are here. And so at some point, that cost just becomes, it is what it is. And if you want to be in the market, and I think it helps to know a good real estate agent that can help you negotiate that, because a lot of our owners are local, and just having a candid conversation. Lease term can help with that. The longer they invest, the longer they stay. But I do think if, you know, you're the typical, I want to quit my job and open a retail boutique today, you're going to be sticker shocked. And I don't even know the retail business behind that, or the, you know, I'm not an expert in food, but I can't even imagine if our prices for real estate have gone up, then their cost to do business have gone up too. So it's just different. But I do think that if you were to make the investment today, you won't be sorry. But it's a reality they are facing.
And do you feel like, I guess, like talking about Chiba Hut specifically, when we were talking with them, they're like, we've been thinking about coming up to Cheyenne for multiple years. We've been looking for a long time, but like this was the year. And I guess I just want to know, and we don't know the answer necessarily, but like, why is this the year that AAA ended up doing it? Like Chiba Hut ended up making that jump. Like it could just be, I mean, those are just two examples, but I do feel like there's been a lot of shifts. IHOP went out of business. Like I feel like Cheyenne's shifting, and I don't know if there's one reason why. There probably isn't.
I don't know that it's Cheyenne specifically. If I had to give my honest feedback, it's that the world is shifting. We've gone from this, you know, and I don't necessarily love this, but, you know, we've gone from you sit down as a family of 5 and sit down and have a meal together to everybody's so busy. You know, everybody has had to make choices in the last couple of years as our inflation rises to get busy or maybe work a job or maybe work 2 jobs. And so everything's on the go. And so these franchises are sort of a little quick fix for food. And there's a lot of variety out there to do that. I still think there's a world and a place where sitting down and having a nice restaurant still exists. I just think they're few and far between from the franchises that are out there.
Yeah.
And from a franchise standpoint, there is a lot more that they can do for you, to help back you. And they also push you to make 2 or 3 stores if you can and it works in the market. But we're growing. It is no secret that Cheyenne has become data center of the world. Not of the world, but Wyoming at least. It feels like our whole world right now.
Seems like overnight too.
Yeah, and it's just happening so quick that I feel like we're just not prepped for it in retail, in housing, and commercial. It's a good business opportunity, and I think that if you play your cards right and you want to take a risk, like there will be people, and all those people still have amenities.
Yeah.
We still have to serve all of them. So I think it's here. It's just trying to get creative and figure out how to, take an old Cheyenne and make it and flex it and bend it to this new style of what everybody wants. Because the reality is, if we don't get on board with some of those changes, while we still have core values and we don't want to be super rush, the reality is there's a younger generation coming up that thrives and feeds off of that. And if we don't get it, they're going to go spend it in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
It's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think you touched on this a little bit, but for people that aren't from Cheyenne, I think it would be good to just explain, what is it like starting a business in Cheyenne? What are people like here? What's good to know how to be successful? You kind of mentioned that if you want to find a space, it's good to work with a local real estate agent because most of the people that are leasing spaces and own those buildings are local. And I think that goes into kind of how business is conducted here, and it's through trust and word of mouth. And I think now that you've been here for a long time, I'm curious to know. I think I kind of have an idea now that I've been here, but I think people that aren't from here are always curious about Cheyenne now that it's been talked about more with the data center realm and things like that.
I think Cheyenne's always going to be Wyoming. As much as we're going to try to make it be this big hustle bustle, we still at the core, we are still Wyoming first, which means, you're safe to stop on the side of the road. Somebody can help you with your tire. Same goes for businesses. I think it's really well recepted here. Our chamber does a really good job. You can join the chamber. There's ribbon cuttings. Our social media is still really good. Our people are still really good to our people. And I don't think that that's going to change. At least I hope it doesn't, because that's what keeps us who we are. One example is, your mom came this summer to visit you and you hadn't been here. I mean, maybe you'd been here almost a year. Yeah. But you took her downtown and she was just amazed at how many people you knew. And I think if you throw yourself into the community and you invest, they will invest right back in you. And I think that's true for businesses, for your kids, and like sports and anything that you're involved in here. As long as you're giving back to that, you will get that back tenfold. And so I think if you're a new business owner or you're here and you're wondering if this community is going to be good to you, I think the answer is yes.
As long as you're good to them.
As long as you're good to them. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And since I've had like a fresh mind and I came from somewhere that was very polar opposite from here, I've actually, and I think I might have talked about this last episode, but I've really seen word of mouth and just who shows up for you and who doesn't. And that it's almost just like friendships that you're making constantly, whether it's business or an actual friendship. And it's been really, really refreshing for me. I feel like I remember when me and Mason first moved here, and it was like the typical what you expect from Wyoming. Like, oh, like I got a beef. Like, do you guys want half of it? Yeah, I think so, but I don't know. Like, it's just like if people are asking, I mean, that's just a funny example, but like people are just asking you things like they've known you forever. They're inviting you to their homes. They're involving you in their life as long as you're reciprocating that and they feel like they can trust you, which I really, really like. And I think that also inspires me. I'm 26. I'm going to be 27 next month. And I feel really inspired here, even though you would think maybe like New York would be somewhere where you'd be really inspired, it's like super fast paced. Everybody is like making, not everybody, but you're surrounded by these people that are making so much money and owning their own businesses, doing all this stuff. But I actually feel really inspired in Wyoming because I feel like there's so much opportunity, and I'm just speaking to Cheyenne specifically. It's not super oversaturated with things. And as much as it's scary to invest in yourself, I think it's worth it here if you are somebody that's willing to get involved in the community and like make those connections and go out constantly and like talk to people and just start up a conversation. So I don't know. I want more people to come here, and maybe eventually I'll want to start a business that's outside of real estate, and just try things. Cause like, especially when you're young, it's like, yeah, the money seems really scary, but I really think it's going to pay off here. And I'd love to just see how Cheyenne's going to change over the next 5 to 10 years and what does come here and what sticks. And
I think there's truth in Wyoming is still just one long road.
Yeah.
You know, you never know who you're going to meet, and you'll probably meet them again, which is crazy. I mean, we just have a lot of really good people here. There's a lot of good people everywhere, but I'm very proud of Wyoming for the fact that, you know, I can't go on vacation. Truly, I can't even step into DIA without seeing somebody I know.
Yes.
Or somebody that knows me through someone else. And so that's a good feeling because, you know, there's comfort in that and like a little bit of hominess to that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of self-made people here in Wyoming. I think it takes a lot of grit to be able to fight through some of those things where, yeah, we don't maybe have what Fort Collins has as the downtown. So I think our business owners are really, like they're steadfast. They know that it's not a short game, it's the long game. I think they invest in those spaces and they use their sphere of people. And when you're here, like your sphere of people gets smaller every day. Like you're like, man, you know, I shouldn't say smaller, it gets big, but it feels small because it's a very small town, but there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, that's what's so weird.
Yeah, so
it has this small town feel, but there's over 60,000 people here.
Yeah,
and
again, I think it's just immersing yourself.
And I think people that have been here forever. I could see how the change and these new places coming and making it feel like a bigger town is scary, and they don't like that. Yeah, a lot of people don't like change, but like you said, you kind of just have to jump on board because do you want people to be investing here and buying homes and building businesses here and putting it back into the community, or do you want them to go to Fort Collins? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I love Fort Collins, but
no, I think there's a little bit of both. I mean, we cannot handle it all, and I don't think we want to. But I would encourage you, if you are listening to this and you have thought about starting a business in Wyoming, I think if you throw yourself in and you embrace Wyoming with open arms, it'll do the same right back to you.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on the data centers just a little bit, and I think that's maybe like something that we can dive into on a separate episode completely, but maybe just we can touch on it a little bit.
This is kind of my jam because this is all I've done the last year.
Yeah, and this is why I moved here. So it's
been pretty full circle for us, and I know a lot of people just kind of don't know what to think about this. From a business standpoint, it's been obviously wonderful for us, and I think it's just going to change Cheyenne in general in a good way. I think everybody, you know, there will be some negative effects to an influx of people that we're not prepped for.
Yep.
But it's happening whether we like it or not. So we all have to figure out how to be flexible to that because it is here. We mainly work for commercial real estate. Obviously, we really pride ourselves on getting to know our clients. And so something that I've really, 2 years ago, this all started happening. Microsoft's been here. They were here long before I was in real estate.
Yep.
But what really happened is, warehouses have been kind of our thing. They're just intriguing to me, mainly because when you meet somebody who needs a warehouse space, they usually own a blue collar company. They're needing to, they're doing the dirty work. It's a dirt excavation or heavy machinery, or they're manufacturing. And so that's my family's background, and it's just very intriguing to me. And they're really good, hardworking people, but they're really smart, educated people.
Yeah.
And this data center world is flipping that on its head right now. It's making our market really tight. And so I've really tried to get to know every single company that's coming here and try to service that company in a capacity that we can have a sort of a partnership. And so we've done that successfully with most of the contractors, and we've, helped them. Fortis, for example, is the meta contractor, and they came and we were able to help them kind of right from the beginning with their executive people before things even started happening. So we were able to find them some office so they could use that temporarily until they could get stuff built on site. And then some of their higher executives, we either helped them find Airbnbs or a rental, or we helped them purchase a home. Yeah. And so we kind of had this a la carte system built, which has been kind of fun to see, because that is truly, it's changed my life. It's changed my whole personal life and my professional life, because
it really has.
It brought me to you, which helped me grow my business. Personally, I was able to build a relationship with one of the wives who was a runner. I was able to accomplish a personal goal of running a half marathon with her. So, to say it hasn't touched me is untrue. It has completely rocked my world in a great way. And so I think, again, it goes back to that saying, if you can just give yourself to it and accept it. And accept it and try to find the good in it, it'll give it right back. Yeah. And so that's happening again right now. And I think it's just gonna hit the ground running. At some point we were not prepared for this surge of people. Our warehouses can't hold all of these people. Will be they'll have to find alternatives. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here for, single family homes, home builders, apartment complexes, investors, warehouse spaces, office spaces. I think you'll see businesses. We've already seen those people that have already purchased homes here locally start businesses, or, they're raising their kids here. And, it's exciting. I think from my perspective, it's been a good experience. And I would ask people to really, instead of just looking at it as a negative that you see in the news, kind of deep dive into
and educate yourself on everything.
What it can do for you, because it is here and it's coming.
And I think one of the questions that we both get asked a lot is, are these people coming here for the data centers? Are they buying homes? Are they just travelers? Are they going to invest in our community? What does that look like? And I feel like it's 50-50. It's hard to say. It probably depends on the job and how long it is going to be. But we've seen a lot of people, myself included, purchase homes and stay. I've also seen the travelers that are coming every week, and things like that. So just to kind of answer people's question, there's not really one or the other. It's just kind of depends.
It's a little bit of a mix. And I also think it just depends on who the workers are. Are they single? Do they have families? Can they make that move? They're trying to make a calculated move, and some people are just right out of college working for these companies, and they're just following them wherever they go, just as a business opportunity. So I think it'll be really good for this next year will kind of be a telltale of what's going to happen and who's going to stay. And but I think there will be a lot of temporary housing right now. From what I've been told, could be 7,000 people here in 2027. That's what I was
gonna say, for just one project.
For just one project, temporary, but 3,000 of those will be permanent jobs. So, it's exciting. It's kind of nerve-wracking because I think it's happening quicker than everybody's anticipating. So, again, I think there's just a lot of opportunity out there for a lot of different avenues.
No, I'm excited. I'm a person that loves change, so I love to see how things evolve. And I'm just curious. I don't think this will happen, but with my husband being in the data center realm day in and day out, and he's been in that for about 3 years now, I just hear about other projects that are going on across the United States, and it's crazy how certain towns has to shift for this influx that are similar to Cheyenne, but they're a lot smaller than Cheyenne. They built a whole new highway into the town for the data center and things like that. So Cheyenne definitely is bigger than that, which is great. But yeah, it's just cool to hear how these data centers, I don't know if cool is the right word, but they really do change things for the worse or for the better. It just depends on how you look at it.
We'll see them come and we'll see some of that exit,
Yeah.
I think that's everybody's fear, right? What happens when you get everybody here, you build all this housing or you build all these warehouses, where does the shoe drop?
Yeah.
And then we have too much.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't think anybody has a crystal ball, but what I can tell you is taking data centers kind of out of the picture here, we still do a lot of business in Cheyenne.
Yeah.
We're on I-80, I-25. We still have a lot of trucking that comes through here. Mm-hmm. We have rural communities that are 45 minutes from here that serve agricultural for beef and for farming. And so I think we have a lot of oil and gas still right here in Laramie County. And there's a lot of things outside of the data center that still make Laramie County.
Yeah.
And I would say, again, nobody has a crystal ball, but I think we can sustain what we have and probably some growth and still be just fine. Yeah. And a lot of these people will stay.
That's what I was going to say.
For the culture.
We don't know.
Yeah. You just don't know who's going to decide that they're not going to follow this company to the next job just because they love Wyoming. Yeah. And I think I've heard 90% people love it versus not love it. And if they don't love it, then they're usually not staying here. They're commuting or flying or just staying for the week. So
yeah, I think it's just refreshing when you come from a bigger city. It's something different and it kind of slows you down. I think people like that.
Yeah,
they just go back to their roots and what really matters to them. And I think, like you said earlier, everything's so fast paced in our world now. It's kind of nice to slow down and not have a million things to do. Even though I complain that I wish there was sometimes more to do here, it is nice to just spend more time, like when you do have free time with your family or with your friends that really matter to you. So, yeah.
Cheyenne's still a very safe place to live. Slower pace than what you would normally think, maybe not as slow as if you go 45 minutes north to my hometown, but it's still slower paced. So I think it's a good thing. I think if you don't embrace it, you're just going to find the negative in that. Mm-hmm. And so embracing that and just taking it as it comes, good or bad, I think is how we should all be looking at this.
Especially if you're here for the data centers and it's temporary, it's like maybe just have an open mind and just see if you end up loving it. Yeah. And maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe you want to go back. You spend one day in the wind and you change your mind. So that's the one, I will say that is the one downside. And it's not that you're going to have a downside no matter where you're at. Yeah. So I just don't really do my hair anymore. Just put a hat on, have a hair clip.
Learn how to cope.
Yes.
And there's just some days where you just spend the whole day pissed off because of the wind. Yeah. But it's kind of what keeps us tough. And
exactly. Yeah. And keeps not a million people from moving here. So, but I'm excited to dive more into data centers. I feel like everyone just kind of wants to know more. So, next episode, I think we'll kind of dive more into that and get some more information for people. And
we'll try to get some questions, like some top 10 things that we've heard, or maybe some myths versus actual facts. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of myths out there, and some factual ones.
And I'll have my word.
Yes.
I know everyone's dying to know my word.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. We'll just wrap this up and see you next time.
Okay.